Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So, oh, pardon me. So this league has not in particular been the best league for the controversy, the crappy start, and all the rest of the shit that's going wrong. But also on top of it, the actual market is up in fire. Basically, everything is so expensive. Being the first week, everything will drop, but from a league start perspective, it's a bit deflating considering other leagues have been much more stable at the start of leagues. The other side of it is a lot of other people, including other content creators, streamers, people in global Discord, everything, pretty bored with the league, and I got to agree with them. This is not their best league, but we can redeem it, at least in one way, and that way is Delve got buffed. So let's all just delve. So anyway, right in front of me, what I have is the lowest depths, at least on PoE.Ninja at the moment, sorted for the players, and I'll put a link to this in the description. In particular, there is one or two variations of the same build that are currently running the lowest depths in Delve right now, and those are the mine-based Ethereal Knives, Frost Ethereal Knives, and Icicle Mine builds, and in particular Deadeye. Now, I'll get to where I'm going to get to with this very shortly, but a bit of precursor, because Delve is a very confined space, wherever the camera is, it's just like a straight line. So when you have, in particular with the Deadeye Ascendancy, the ability to have more projectiles and ricocheting projectiles, that creates the opportunity to really cheese damage onto anything that's in the vicinity. And that's what essentially the reason why people play these builds. That's the reason why. The other side of it is these builds are all completely focused on damage. They are high octane, high dodge, suicide builds. And that in its own way makes this a lot more fun. So that's what we're going to focus on this league. And in particular, I've picked out two, and I'll put the POBs in the description for these particular builds that use the heat mapping and whatnot. But they get about 1.4 on this one and 2 million DPS. Now, the whole predicate, and as you can see, this one has a tabula, but I'll explain this because it's corrupted, and the corrupts really beef this up. But essentially, the the advantage of, or the reason for this type of build spec, and it's bizarre, is essentially damage is all you need, fuck defensive layering, the only defense you need is dodge, pretty much don't get hit. That's the moral of the story to go deep delve, and that's pretty much what we're going to look at here. So I've taken these two trees, and I have I've played with it a touch, and I'm going to change, I'm going to homogenate this, or meld these two trees in different ways to get the best out of it. And I've actually started my own character, which I've so far got up to level 52, and it's pretty much just smashing through the campaign. So, we're already up to like Act 7 within, 5 hours, 5.5 hours, and I was just sort of, going pretty chill about it, wasn't going crazy about it or anything like that. So anyway, that's what we're going to focus on talking about. So, what do you need to know about this build? Well, first of all, we have almost no defense. And in fact, we rely heavily on dodge mechanics as our defense. So I think we got 33% dodge right now. This will get to about 40, 45, and we'll buff this up using the at-series step and things like that. That's going to give us more dodge. We'll just focus on dodge in particular and evasion in this particular build. Now, the other side of it, you can go Icicle Mine. In my case, I'm going with Ethereal Knives, which is essentially this. So as you run around, you drop knives in it. I'll just take us to an area. Maybe we'll go to Causeway because we were working on that anyway. Alright, so we're on Causeway. Now, we're not at the level of getting Chaos Inoculation yet, but basically, as you can see, it just sort of freezes everything and wrecks everything. And this being in the campaign, that'll happen from time to time because we're not Chaos Inoc yet. Once we get Chaos and Knock, that won't be a problem. So CI is where you have 1 HP and a little bit of ES. It's very likely we're going to have like, you know, 100 and something ES. So as you can see, just sort of go through. It ricochets off the walls, as you'll see there, which is why this is such a powerful skill, in particular in Delve. And then, you know, we'll get our Frenzy charged. We've got 4 of those so far.
This should be quick.
So, you know, you sort of do this and bam, just run around and kill everything. So, pretty much just going to keep your distance from enemies. But as you can see in the campaign at this level, it's already cheesing its way through. So anyway, gearing, what are we doing here? So when it loads, all right, cool. So from a gearing perspective, simply put, there are versions that uses Nebulous or in particular Replica Nebulae. They did get nerfed last league and they were pretty much the most used variant of this build, used that particular item. At one point they were trading for like 37x. They were just ridiculously expensive. The reason why is the Replica actually gives you damage based on your missing or resistances not up to the 75% cap, because you're not going to be capping resistances here. We don't even give a fuck about resistances. We're going to be just killing everything before we even before they get a chance to look at us. So anyway, from a gearing perspective, this particular build that we're going to run with is just going to use 2 daggers or 2 scepters in this case. You're going to get spell damage, you're going to get crit, chance and on spells, and also critical strike on multi in particular. And you know, if you can get cast spell on triggered, or trigger spell on cast or whatever, grab that too and chant it on the item. Now from the gearing perspective, my optimum chest piece is probably going to be a Kintsugi, and that's going to increase evasion, so that's what I'm going to work to right now. We're just going to stick with tabbies. Now for helm, there's a few different options, but if we have a look at the tree that not getting quite so rich is using, actually uses an alpha cow. And I like this variation of the build, so this is what I'm going to run with as well. And this basically gets your auras under control, more so than anything, because we're going to be running Hatred, we're going to be running Herald of Purity, and we're going to be running Zealotry. Now, because we're going to be running Herald of Purity, we want 2 circles of guilt, because we're not focused on resistances. So and right now you can pick up the Circle of Guilt. This particular Circle of Guilt's like 80 or 60 to 80 chaos, but you can get a lesser version, which is what I started buying for like 5 to 8 chaos, which is nice and cheap. Amulet, really up to you how you play that one. You're going to want crit, multi, you're going to want damage. Pretty much that's the 2 things that you want. Don't focus on any defense. We don't need defenses other than dodge. Gloves, which is homogenized across these builds in particular, and I'll put both of the links up to these guys' builds because I think they're really cool. This isn't my build, but I'll probably end up rejigging a lot of this and come up with something that works in my style and do a bit of a guide on how I got there in the end and some of these progress videos. But the gloves that you want need to have Culling Strike. Now to craft Culling Strike, I think you need a level 82 or plus set of gloves, and they need to be Warlord influence gloves. And then what I usually do is just alteration slam the gloves until you get what you want. Bob's your uncle. Now the other side of this is you've got on this build Call of Brotherhood rings. You could get these are about 28 to 30 chaos from the last time I checked. Don't really need them. Replica High Rise Truth, definitely something to get, really cool. That's what I'll end up putting in my build. The only problem is this is going to be really expensive. Now these builds do use different boots. I'm actually going to say at Series Step because it's a lot cheaper and a lot easier to get. The most expensive part of these builds right now that I can see is the Coward's Legacy, and this is about 1.7x, and basically you get vulnerability cast on you permanently or cursed on you permanently, and then that counts as having low life, which means then you can take the Pain Attunement node and amp your damage up even more. That's pretty much the basic build of this. Now, both of these iterations do use cluster jewels, and in particular, they target on just large clusters that do cold damage and Vengeful Commander and whatnot, and elemental damage. Then everything you're going to use is going to be buffing up mines. You pretty much just want to cheese as much damage in your mines as you possibly can. So guerrilla tactics and surprise sabotage seem to be the way to go here. And that's what I'm going to end up doing as well. Now you do need a Ring of the Blades jewel, which you get for free anyway as you play through the campaign in about, was it Act 6 or so I think it is, or Act 5. So if you do like the first 4 missions or quests in there, you get that. These iterations do use things like Watcher's Eyes, don't worry about that for now. All of these here, don't worry about any of these. And I'll put the POB that I'm sticking to at this stage in the description. You can use that as an example. Now the general mechanic, and I'm not going to go into it yet because this is just a progress video. The general mechanic is basically as you delve, you're just going to throw your mines down, everything's going to ricochet, and it's going to kill and freeze everything in front of you. So we'll get to that in the next video. But anyway, I hope this gets you started on putting together a delve build. And as I said, this is not the best league, but you know, let's make the best of the delve mechanic. And as you can see, and I'll just bring this up, as you can see, you know, you've got 12,780 characters. You actually don't have many characters that have delved very far. 500 to 600 is actually quite easy to get to just with a strong character that's non-minions, because minions don't work in delve. But these builds in particular tend to be the ones that are getting down past 1,000 iterations. So we're going to target 800 with this initially, and then I want to see how far down I can push, just depending on getting sulfite. Now, other questions you might have about this build: can this map? Yes. It can get a bit rippy sometimes, but because the damage output's so high, yet they can map. Can they take Cyrus down? These builds, while you know you probably can cheese the damage on it, are not really focused on Cyrus killing. But you know, prove me wrong. I'm gonna try it, and you know it might work really well. They are extremely fast builds, high evasion, high dodge. So there's every likelihood that you could get, you know, 80% or 75% dodge and just never get hit, and just be basically Neo from the Matrix, dodging bullets every 5 seconds, being the freaking beams from Cyrus. But you know, there's every likelihood of that, but we're going to test it out and see. Anyway, I'll put all this information in the description. If these builds get you going, drop me a like, drop me a sub. Check out these guys on their POB. They're doing a great job. I'm sure they potentially have other, you know, Twitch accounts or whatnot. I haven't found them. Just using this as a guide to heat map my way through right now. But yeah, if you know these guys, you know, get in touch with them and ask some questions too. But yeah, we're going to invest time into this league, and yeah, until the next video, updating on where I get to with this build. Yeah, bye.